Turn me up, OB. Yo, what again, my boy? Okay, so today we'll be discussing chapters 2, 3, and I'm feeling generous today. So I'll throw in chapter 4 as well. Of my critically acclaimed New York Times bestselling novel, 17 Crimes. Okay, chapter 2, America. Land of the free, or so it seems. I, along with my mother and fellow, landed in the home of the hustlers, dealers, politicians, prostitutes, pushers, and pimps in January of 1989. I was 7 years old. Washington, D.C. was freezing. It was snowing. It was the first time that I had ever seen snow. I tried to eat the snow off the ground because I thought it was ice cream that God had sent from the sky for the children to eat. I didn't have a winter or snow season in Nigeria, so for me, snow was nothing but a myth. When we arrived at the airport, I noticed the colors were bright, the buildings were tall and visible, the people were cordial to each other, and the air smelled fresh. Unlike the putrid smell of dirt roads and horse manure in the air of Nigeria. The first meal I ate was a slice of cheese pizza at Chuck E. Cheese, and boy, was it delicious. I had never tasted anything like this before, so I made sure that I savored the flavor with each bite and neighbor. I was accustomed to eating beans, snails, and rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Nigeria. So I felt exhilarated to taste something different for a change. The taste of pizza filled me with delight, and I uttered to my mom, "Can we stay here forever? Can we? Can we, Mom?" She smiled at that thought. She moved us into a one-bedroom, one-bathroom shack on North Capitol Street, Washington, D.C. That was all she could afford at the time. The rent was $500 a month. Fella and I couldn't speak a lick of English. Our primary language was Yoruba. It was widely spoken in West Africa and most prominently in southwestern Nigeria, which is where Fella and I resided before coming to America. Therefore, we both had to enroll in ESL. That's right, English as a second language, to better help ourselves with reading, writing, and speaking the English language. English was a challenging language to ascertain for me in the beginning because my mom would mostly speak Yoruba to me, and I had no English speaking friends at the time. I utilized everything that I could get my hands on to help Fella and me learn English. It included cards, magazines, newspapers, and cartoons. I preferred utilizing hooked on phonics at home because it worked for me. I watched a commercial on television where multicultural children were running around playing who couldn't speak English, saying, "Hooked on phonics works for me." Hooked on phonics was a powerful program for kids and helped them learn letter names and letter sounds. However, it helped me to enunciate and verbalize the English language proficiently. I was proficient in science because of the tutors I had coming in and out of my home in Nigeria. Math became easier for me to comprehend after marveling at my grandmother selling fish on the market. But I attended ESL every day. I took a standardized test that placed me in the second grade at 7 years old. During lunch, Fella and I, who had no money for food anyway would take ESL. We were the only two Africans in the class. Everyone else was from El Salvador. So the class was based on and around Spanish and English. This helped us learn Spanish at an early age. I would often ask my classmate from El Salvador, whose name was Alejandro Gustavo, what certain words meant in Spanish. For instance, I learned that fish is called pescado in Spanish. Eventually, slowly but surely, I picked up on Spanish and English simultaneously. Miss Kalani had two jobs. She also went to school at Howard University as a registered nursing student. Bella and I had to find our route home from school. The first time trying to walk home from school, I got lost. I ended up walking through a shortcut, which was infested with hypodermic needles and glass, drug-filled vials on the ground. The further I walked, the more drugs and crackheads I saw. I eventually flagged down a police officer who asked, "What's the problem?" I said, "I need to use your phone to call my mom and ask her directions to get home." The officer acquiescently let me use his cell phone. I was able to contact my mother, who provided the officer with details of our home location. Although I didn't like walking home every day, I had no choice. I quickly realized this was a terrible idea because the hustlers and gangsters in the neighborhood saw us get out of the police car in front of our apartment. They thought we were snitching. I, by this time, had become familiar with the street code. Snitches get stitches. But we weren't snitches. They were just misinformed because we were new to the neighborhood and weren't known or related to anyone in the area. I didn't want to know them. They all looked spooky. They gave Bella and me these evil, contemptuous looks. I vowed never to let the police take us home again, no matter how dangerous the path was. I had to learn how to take Bella home safely without walking through dark alleys that were scattered with crack stems, boughs, dope fiends, and hustlers. And that's just what I did. I avoided all the shortcuts and decided to take the long route home every day. It added another hour to our walk home after school, but it was worth it. I managed to save my little brother from seeing all of that nonsense on a daily basis. Chapter 3: The Change in Childhood. The school year ended in the summer of 1990. I finished with a 4.0 GPA. Soon after school, Miss Kalani announced that we were going to relocate near Howard University so we could be closer to our school. I thought to myself sarcastically, "Shh, just what I needed to hear. I'm just getting adjusted to this place, and we're moving to another roach-infested ghetto." Man, I was not happy about this decision that my mother made on her own, without considering how the move would make me feel. So, just like any other kid who lacked the cognitive skills to process their emotions and convey what they were feeling vocally, I threw a tantrum. "But I don't want to move," I gasped. "I like this place. I have made so many friends in the short duration that I have been here. If we move elsewhere, I'm going to have to take reconnaissance of the area and familiarize myself with the neighborhood and the people who live there, so no one will jump on me." She interrupted. "I understand, but we need to do this, Ahmed," said Miss Kalani. "It is important that we make this decision. Financially, things are tight right now, and they're only going to get tighter if we stay here. Besides, Your school will be in close proximity, so you won't have to walk so far. We relocated to a bright yellow house at 525 Quincy Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. I was surprised to see a house and not an apartment. I had never lived in a house before. I was elated. We would not have to sleep in one room for a change. I blurted in excitement. Oh shit, we're rich! Mama, we finally made it! There were 3 rooms upstairs, one bathroom, a bathroom downstairs, and a basement. It also had a large-sized bedroom with a bathroom inside. There was an extra room in the basement that Bella and I allotted to convert into a weightlifting room. We would host the neighborhood guys who wanted to exercise and play craps. You know, shoot dice, games in that room. Just like everyone else, I didn't know what the future had planned for me. This was my emancipation to manhood. Miss Kalani enrolled us in Park View Elementary School, which was 5 blocks from our house on Quincy Street. Unlike the 30-minute walk through zigzags in the dark alleyways of our previous residence, it was a straight shot home. Moreover, this was a friendly neighborhood. People were nice, and the streets were clean. Things began to change positively in our favor, and its tangibility was before our eyes. Although I had a 4.0 GPA, my mom asked the principal to retain me in my current grade because I still could not articulate the English language that well. I was infuriated because I had worked to make sure I passed all my tests. I felt like I shouldn't be punished for being precocious and academically gifted. Ahmed, come here. I want to speak with you, called Miss Kalani. Coming, Mama, I replied. We sat on the front porch and she made us a pitcher of lemonade with extra sugar, just like I liked it. I asked, Mom, what would you like to speak to me about? Miss Kalani explained. The reason I retained you and your brother is that you both are younger than the peers in your class. I want you to be in the right grade level for your age. I was not convinced. I thought it was only an excuse. It did not bring any solace to me at all. I tried making peace with it, but no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't fake my displeasure with her decision. Chapter 4, Quincy Street, Washington, D.C. The first day of class at Parkview Elementary School in the second grade was arduous for me, to say the least. Bella and I walked to school together. Our hair was nappy as hell, and we wore yellow Howard University t-shirts that were too big. We had on tube socks with red, yellow, and green circles around the top. Our shoes were so tight that our toes popped out the front. We got joned on, teased by our classmates. It filled us with rage, and we wanted to fight. We were called everything from black African booty scratchers to here go the banana eating monkeys, y'all, to ew. You both smell like an African jungle. And you both look like African apes. Don't nobody want to be around y'all. Both of us went home that evening, balled up, crying in tears the rest of the night. We told our mom, we want to get a haircut and some new clothes. She said, do you think money grow on trees? I replied, Mom, please. The kids in our class won't stop joning on us, and it's hurtful. Miss Kalani gave it a little thought, and after a brief pause, she agreed. Okay, come here. I'll cut your hair for you. I was not convinced. I argued. But, Mom, you're not a barber. How are you going to cut our hair? She assured us, I've been to many salons, and it is not hard to cut hair. I wasn't born yesterday. Miss Kalani took a butter knife out of the kitchen drawer and sharpened it with a steel rod. She put shaving cream on my head and shaved the sides and back of my head off. She left the top on. It was basically a mullet. But I wasn't in the military, so she gave me a buzz cut. I took a good look in the mirror and yelled, What the hell, Mama? I look like an Army cadet reject. She said, Look, this will have to do for now. When I start making more money, I can afford to take you to the barber shop. But right now, I just can't afford a child. Man, these bills are kicking my ass. And I'm doing this all by myself. It's not like I have any help. She then took us to the Salvation Army, a charitable organization where low-income people could go and get used clothes. The only issue is that everything was either faded or had holes in it, too big or too dirty. At any rate, I grabbed the best clothes that I could find so I could walk in school with my head held high and not have to worry about brutally honest kids bullying my butt. I even found some shoes that were called British Knights. They light up when you walk. I thought I was going to be the coolest dude in the school once everyone saw me in these shoes. But they were 2 sizes big. My mom assured me once again that it's a good thing. Your feet are still growing, and you will grow into them. Just ball up some newspaper and put them in the front of your shoes. No one will know. I looked at her and replied, You want me to do what? Mom, come on now. That's ridiculous. Still, I knew that I didn't have a choice in the matter. I lived under her roof and had to abide by her rules. It was an unspoken rule, but I was aware of her rules. The next day, when I went to school, it was even worse than the previous day. Kids were even more sinister and brutally honest than they were the previous day. They laughed at my buzz cut and called me a G.I. Joe looking boy. They laughed at my hand-me-down clothes from the thrift store. They even laughed at my British Knight shoes and said, You look like an African Luke Skywalker. One kid said, Damn, boy, you look like a glow-in-the-dark action figure with those Star Wars break-me-down shoes on. I grew tired of it. I had enough of the conspicuous bullying. I realized that I would learn either to joan back or how to fight so that I could whoop their asses. Something hella problem. I went home that day and wrote down a bunch of jokes that I planned to use against my classmates. I had jokes like, Yo mama's so fat, she sat on a quarter and made some change. To, Yo mama's so old, the milk in her titties has expired, so when she breastfeeds your baby brother, clumps of rotten milk oozes out her wrinkled nipples. But I still had a strong African accent at the time, so my jokes didn't go over well. In fact, I got myself in a lot of trouble during class hours. My teacher said, Since you want to be the class clown today, why don't you come to the board and teach the class? It was a math class, and I wasn't as proficient in math as I would have liked to be. Nevertheless, I felt this was my opportunity to shine, and I was going to seize the moment. I was determined to let nothing confident with each passing day. I walked up to the chalkboard and said to the teacher, "Okay, give me the chalk. Step aside and peep how I run mine." Hey, y'all. If your mother gives you $1 and you go to the corner store and buy some wrap snacks for 50 cents, how much money does Papa San, that's the nickname of the Asian man who owned the corner store, owe you all? Everyone said in unison, 50 cents. I then gave the students another scenario. I said, if you buy a 2-liter cream soda for $1 and Papa San charges you 10% sales tax, which is 10% on $1, then how much do you owe him? They said, $1.10. Boom! Mission accomplished. I was done. Everyone began clapping, hooting, and hollering. The teacher calmed them down. "Simmer down, class," then turned to me and said, "Job well done, young man." That was a different way of explaining it. Yet you were able to reach the same conclusion that I wanted to convey to the class. The kids were able to relate to you. I thanked him for the compliment and cheerily strutted back to my desk. As I strutted back to my desk, a coward by the name of Byron Brown, who appeared to be a remedial dude who couldn't understand why the sky was blue or why water was wet, was eating sunflower seeds like he always did. He would crack the sunflower seeds with his teeth and spit them into his hand. Well, this time, he didn't do that. He spat the seed shells at me, and it landed square on my forehead. All the anger and rage that I've repressed and accumulated over the years boiled over. I was piping hot, and in that instant, something came over me. I couldn't believe someone would spit on me. It was worse than any insult that I could ever receive. I quickly grabbed the chalkboard eraser and threw it at his face. The powder from the chalk eraser went all over the classroom. Byron's face looked like a Johnson and Johnson baby powder commercial. It was so bad that you couldn't even see the black on his face because I hit him right in his big ass nose. His eyes and face were all white from chalk. I then balled up my fist and punched him as hard as I could in his eye. He fell back on his back. I jumped on him and just kept punching, left and right fist, one after another, pounding him in the face. That was it. I lost my moral scruples and finally snapped. I was trying to kill that boy. The teacher eventually pulled me off by me and sent us both down to the hall to the principal's office. I was confident that I wouldn't get in trouble because I had not started the fight. I thought I did the right thing. And anyone else in this situation would have done the same. Defend themselves. But that wasn't how the principal saw things. Byron's eye began to swell shut, and he started crying uncontrollably. As a result, I was suspended for 5 days. This was the first time I got suspended in the second grade. But it wasn't my last. When I got home later that day, Miss Kalani had just returned home from her second nursing job. She was sitting in the dining room with her scrubs on and a half-eaten turkey sandwich on the table. "Mom, I need to tell you something," I said. "Today in school, the kids were laughing at me about my clothes and shoes again. However, The teacher gave me a chance to go to the board and teach the students a math problem. So I did, and they all understood it. She replied, "That's good, son. I'm proud of you. I always knew you were smart. Now, let me get back to sleep. I have to go back to work soon." I nodded in agreement and uttered, "Wait, Mama, there's more. Byron spat a sunflower seed on me, so I defended myself. But the principal suspended me for 5 days. For some inexplicable reason, I believed in my heart that she would be elated. I thought my mom would quote Malcolm X, whose voice began to percolate in my young mind. A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Unlike me, she believed in the spare the rod, spoil the child theory. Miss Kalani believed in tough love with painful sanctions. She snapped angrily. "I work 2 jobs and go to school. Do you think I send you to school to learn or to fight? Go outside and get the biggest twig that you can find. Now!" I took my sweet old time walking outside and going to get that twig. The last thing I wanted was an ass whipping after what I went through in school that day. I had seen my mama mad before, but never this angry. In a matter of minutes, her face turned from brown to ominous red. I found a twig that wasn't too skinny because I knew that she would make me go back outside and grab another one. But it wasn't too thick either. Those thick twigs would leave welts and bruises, and sometimes they would break my skin, leaving open wounds that looked more like lacerations than abrasions. It wasn't child abuse. No, 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 no. Instead, it was tough love with painful sanctions. This wasn't my first ass whooping, and the damn sure wouldn't be my last ass whooping. When I got back in the house, Miss Kalani had that Al Green soundtrack on. Let Let's stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad or happy or sad. Since we've been together, oh, loving you forever. Oh, I just can't see. Make me be the one that you're coming to. We wanna stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Yeah, the extended version of the song, not the short version of the song, with the live band playing on the 8-track tape. I suddenly thought to myself, okay, she's going to beat me until this song ends. It can last for 5 minutes. It shouldn't be that bad. Just keep it together and try not to cry. But no, oh hell no. She beat me until the entire album ended. 1.5 hours. I took my ass whipping like a man. I didn't cry. Not me. While whipping me, Miss Kalani kept asking me questions that she didn't want an answer to. "What do you think you're going to do in the house for 5 days while I'm at work?" I retorted, "Catch up on some schoolwork and read." This response only incensed her to beat me even more. I realized the questions she was asking were rhetorical and would only intensify the whipping. So I stopped answering them. The next morning, I awoke in pain all over my body and somehow managed to motivate myself to take a shower. It was torture. Every single body part stung worse with every spray of water. Miss Kalani must have woken up on the wrong side of the bed that morning. She came into the bathroom and tried to beat me again while I was naked in the shower. This time, I juked her like an NFL running back, joked her out the tub, and ran downstairs. I hid in the basement until she went to work. She yelled, "Ahmed, bring your ass back here." I wasn't taking that ass whooping again for the second day in a row. Screw that, I thought to myself. I was built for tough, but not that tough. Again, I chalked it up to Miss Kalani, believing in tough love with painful sanctions. I often told my mom that I would call the Child Protective Services on her butt one of these days, but that didn't bother her. Okay, you do that. But if you do that, where will you live? They will take you away and put you in foster care, she said. Screw that. I ain't going to stay in any damn foster care with no PlayStation, no bed, horrible food, and fighting with some little badass kids who I don't know every day. After mulling that thought over a few times, I never called the police or child protective services on my mom. I actually thought being whipped was a normal part of growing up. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, is what I thought to myself. After Miss Kalani left for work, I went and got the peroxide, gauze, bandages, and betadine out of the closet and cleaned my wounds. My mom always had a first aid kit in the house in case Bella and I hurt ourselves. I cleaned my wounds and went outside for some fresh air to clear my head. I walked up to the corner of Quincy and Water Street, took a left, and saw some teenagers hanging out in front of the corner store, socializing. But these were not your regular teenagers. They were using a payphone and checking their Skytown Nextel beepers on their hip every 2 seconds. Cars would pull up on the corner and they would jump in, ride around the block, and jump back out in front of the corner store on Rock Creek and Water Street. I didn't know what they were up to. Judging from their appearance and stature, I was able to extrapolate those boys couldn't have been any more than 13 to 16 years old. They wore nice clothes, fresh kicks on their feet, and big fancy gold medallions around their neck. I wasn't intimidated. I wanted to get acquainted with the dude in his hood. So I walked up to one of them and asked, "What's your name?" "My name's Boo." "Why?" the boy interrogated. "No reason. I'm a maid. I just moved on Quincy Street. I go to Park View, and I'm in the second grade." "What type of name is a maid? And why your little ass not in school right now?" I explicated. "It's a Nigerian name, and it means one who is bold. I got suspended for 5 days for fighting yesterday." Boo looked back at me and smiled. "Bold, huh? Did you win?" "Of course I won. I swelled his eyes shut. Both of them." Boo put his hands up and gave me a high five. "The only thing that matters is your respect, little guy. And you get that by standing up for yourself and not letting these dudes in the hood punk you." I let out a sigh of relief and smiled. I'm glad somebody feels my pain because my mama has been whipping my ass like Kunta Kente since I got out of school yesterday. I showed Boo the welts, bruises, and cuts on my back. He leaned my body backward as I lifted up my shirt. Damn, your mama fucked you up, man. He asked, what, she African or something? Yeah, she is Nigerian. Oh, that's why. Yeah, I heard about Nigerian women. They say they play no games at all. But it's probably because she loves you. A lot of these young boys out here, their mama doesn't love them enough to punish them when they do wrong. It's called tough love. They just let their kids run wild in these streets. Don't get caught up in that mess, Ahmed. You seem like a good kid. I can tell you have a good head on your shoulders. And your mama loves you. Ain't nothing like having a family that cares about you and wants to see you do the right thing in life to be successful. She just doesn't want to see you go down the wrong path. That's deep, man. I never saw things from that point of view. My mama is strict as hell, but my dad isn't around right now. I know she wants the best for my little brother and me. I just wish she didn't beat me so much, I said. Boo consoled me and said, yeah, my dad is not around either. So what do you do? I asked. He replied, I'm a hustler. I asked, a hustler? What is that? Somebody who gets the money. Don't worry about it. Now go back to the house. Listen to your mom. Stay out of trouble and stay in school, he said. I turned around and walked back home. It was 12 o'clock noon. By this time, I would usually be at school eating lunch. But since I was suspended, I had to resort to eating whatever I had in the fridge. Thank you guys for listening. That was the end of chapter 4. We'll be back tomorrow with chapter 5, titled The Further. Once again, thanks for listening. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Irene.